Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Chairman, thank you, and I too want to make a few comments on Part 2 of the bill. I'd like to preface my comments by expressing my disappointment that I'm yet to hear a call from either the Minister who introduced the legislation or the Minister who is currently in charge of the bill. This is a matter which is highly technical, and with all due respect to the Minister and the Chair, I've heard nothing from him either, which indicates that he is across what is very important detail in this legislation. Mr Speaker, of course, if the Minister who introduced the bill had been in the chamber, he would be the subject of interrogation as to the holding of information and the importance of the integrity of the taxation system and the way that it relies on people who are involved in it, including the Minister, not sharing information which they come across, obviously, except with the Commissioner of Inland Revenue when case matters referred to them. And I should say it's a matter of a lot of concern to the House, and maybe in the end, when the backdated inquiry occurs into the comments that Mr Dunn has made and his making availability of otherwise confidential information, it could well be that we want to ask the question about whether any taxpayers' information, as well as GCSB information, was made available. Of course, I'm sure, sir, the GST on the GCSB information that was due would have been paid, but it's a question of what was made available and whether there was any consideration involved in that. What was the price that Mr Dunn paid, other than his ministerial post for a relatively short time, and what has the effect of that been on the revenue? Although I do note, Mr Speaker, the effect on the revenue seems, through the changes, to have been positive, because there are now more ministers than there were previously, but the government's fiscal position is negative because we are paying extra. We're paying an additional minister, and so on. The net effect of the change led by Mr Dunn's resignation, forced resignation, is in fact something which is negative. Mr Speaker, Mr Chairman, I'd now like to go to something which is pretty specific and is around the pages 51, 52, 53, 54 and 55 of the bill, which go to classification of mining expenditure, and in particular the timing of the deductibility of various aspects. And the first point that I would like to focus on is the acquisition of land and the timing of the deductibility of that acquisition. In fact, without drawing you into the debate at all, Mr Chairman, I know those who are well versed in Southland mining issues know that there has been massive acquisition of land in Southland for the purposes of lignite mining, and after the mineral rights have been stripped from those titles, that land has then been on-sold in some cases, not in all cases. In some cases, there's a long-term lease, and that is clearly an interest in the land, and that interest of land is recognised within this. And the question I've got, and probably if one looks at the net position of Solid Energy, which is almost certainly the organisation that's done most of it, my question is whether that is the type. I don't want the Minister to answer questions about a specific taxpayer, even if it is a Crown state-owned enterprise, and well, enterprise is probably the wrong word. State-owned liability might be a better expression for Solid Energy the way that it is. But sorry, well, under Labor it had a damn good minister. But the question that I want to ask the Minister to address himself to is whether it is appropriate, Mr Chairman,
Honourable Trevor Mallard,
to give a deduction to a loss-making mineral exploration, prospecting and prospectively mining organisation for the loss as a result, the loss in the interest in the land as a result of stripping the mining rights away from the land. So clearly land is bought at one price and it's sold at another price, almost certainly lower than the original price, and which recognises the difference in the or the value to the organisation of the stripped mineral rights. And the question I've got is whether the value of the stripped mineral rights is taken into account in deciding the value of the land once it has been sold, or if it's a piece of land that has been sold minus the rights, is the full loss that the organisation makes deductible? And the next question is that fair? And I mean, I acknowledge if it's a state-owned enterprise that's doing it, then actually the net position of the Crown is unchanged. Core government's different, but the total position of the Crown is unchanged. But what we're preparing here, sir, is law for all parties, and we're preparing it in the context of organisations which may not always be state-owned enterprises, even though at the moment anyone would be among. So the relatively simple question that I've got to the Minister is whether the loss on the acquisition of the land and disposal of it's a loss on disposal, the difference between the disposal price and the acquisition price, which we know is something which is deductible, and it's deductible in the year that it occurs, even if mining is not going to occur for 30 or 40 years hence. That is a deduction which occurs in the year of the disposal, and my question is whether that net loss takes into account the matters which I referred to earlier. Clearly, what we do know is under DU12 subpart 3A, mining development expenditure does not include the cost of the land. But what is also clear later on... Sorry? Oh, no, it is. It's clear, it's on the face of the bill. Mining development expenditure does not, in line 10A, line 10, 3A, does not include the cost of the land. So I mean, was Paul Goldsmith on the committee that considered this bill? He was. Did he chair it? Did he chair it? Well, have we seriously got in this House, interjecting now, the person who was in charge of the bill through the select committee process, not aware of the question of the deductibility of land acquired for mining? Well, it is. I accept it's a not insubstantial bill, but the deductibility of mining expenditure is something which is very important when one is considering the bill. And I'm just going to toss back at the member, if he has not read the bill well enough, either in its introduced form or in the report back arrangement, then that is shameful. It is absolutely shameful that the National Party has, as the Prime Minister's nominee, to chair the Finance and Expenditure Committee, someone who cannot be Paul Goldsmith. Just make sure, we'll put a name on him. I don't want to generally slur the members of the Finance and Expenditure Committee, because there have been some good ones. But Paul Goldsmith has made it clear in this House that he had not read a major part of the bill, really one of the main operative clauses of the mining expenditure. And when you have a chair of a committee who is so damn lazy, working hard to lose an electorate seat, working hard to lose an electorate seat, then Mr. Chairman.
The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Now, the next question I want to ask goes to the question of mining rehabilitation expenditure and the deductibility of that, and what is effectively appears to me to be a double deductibility, and with due respect to the comments that my colleague Shane Jones has made, and even David Clark earlier, who seemed to indicate that there is a relatively fair regime. I wonder whether we are heading into an arrangement now where we have a subsidy, a Crown subsidy for mineral explorers whose projects fail. So it's again an area of relatively simple change, and this is one of the areas of amendments that's made to the legislation by the Select Committee, and the rehabilitation area means expenditure that a mineral miner incurs directly in relation to the rehabilitation of land that is a permit area of their mining operations or associated mining operations carried out as a result of summarising the permits, the Crown Minerals Act access arrangements, Resource Management Act, construction or authority under Historic Places Act. So what we're saying is that miners get a set of obligations. There's no doubt. The question I've got is, if they are foolish and do prospecting and exploration, make a mess of an area, is it really the job of the taxpayer to subsidise through effectively double deductibility their clean-up and rehabilitation costs? Is that a good use of taxpayers' funds to say, you can destroy this monument and you have to rebuild it as part of your exercise? And I will be interested in the comments of my Green colleagues in this area, because I've heard the explanations from two of my own, and frankly, those in the contribution by Maggie Barry are frankly a little bit wanting. They are a little bit wanting as to whether this is a good use. I mean, we have the Prime Minister saying in this House today that we are short of funds for paid parental leave, but somehow we have money to subsidise miners in their rehabilitation costs. Why is it? Why is it? What are the priorities? What are the priorities of this government? What are the priorities that they are not prepared to say it's important for parents, especially mothers, but parents, to bond with their kids for 6 months as part of paid parental leave? But if you're an overseas miner, we will subsidise you through additional deductibility in order to do rehabilitation, which is only what you've got to do in accordance with the law anyway. So, as Chairman, again, I'm not saying that I'll vote against it, but I am asking the question about where are this government's priorities as far as particular actions of that sort are concerned. Mr. Speaker, I will be interested in the explanation from the Minister and the Chair on the new mineral mining new section EJ20B2, which is the spreading rule. I think this is an important part of the legislation. It has come in again as a result of the Select Committee, and there is a question that the Minister has to ask about the establishment of the rate versus value formula, which is in there. And again, I know that unlike Paul Goldsmith, Todd McClay will be right across the detail of the legislation, and we'll be able to go to the rate questions and to tell us about either the straight line or the diminishing value approaches which are available in subsection 4 A and B. The question I've got is, Mr. Chairman.
Jamie Lee Ross. The question is that the question be now put. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Party vote's been called for. I'll ask the clerk for a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 votes opposed.
Māori Party.
3 in favour.
Mana.
1 opposed.
Act New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Brendan Horan.
Members, the ayes are 64, the noes are 56. The question will be put. We first have the Minister's amendments as set out on SOP number 413. The question is that the Minister's amendments be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The question now is that Part 2 is amended stand part. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Members, we now come to debate on clauses 108 to 118, and the question is at Part 3, stand part. Dr. David Clark.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I have been keen to speak about this part of the bill right through the debate, and members opposite have held me back on various occasions.